More UA. Last time we talked about Artie, link in the description. And now we're gonna talk about super strong feats called Dragonmarks. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where Mark has advantage. All feats in this PDF are limited to Eberron campaigns, either directly or indirectly. There's a collection of them called Dragonmark feats, of which you can only pick one throughout your career, and can only be picked in the Eberron campaign. On the D&D YouTube channel, they said you would get access to these feats through the Eberron backgrounds, which we don't have yet. But I'll be rating them akin to origin feats. Besides that, there's also a section on general feats that are named the same, except they are greater. They kinda work like foci from Worlds Without Number. You need to be level 4+ to pick them though. In addition, there's also a potent Dragonmark, a non-specific feat which can theoretically upgrade any of the Dragonmark feats. And finally, there's an epic boon called Boon of Sibris. It's limited to Eberron campaign and you need to be level 19+. That's the gist. Now we can actually start. Aberrant Dragonmark grants you the Aberrant Fortitude, which benefits Constitution saving throws. It's 1d4. You can use a proficiency bonus number of times, and you regain your resources on a long rest. It's not bad. You can use this for concentration. Aberrant Magic gives you 1 sorcerer cantrip and 1 level 1 spell. This is basically already a better magic initiate. You can get the shield spell. Aberrant Surge means you can also give yourself some temporary HP when casting the spell from the prior feature, or potentially damage someone. Not too crazy. Greater Aberrant Mark is of course a half feat, adding to your constitution. It also improves your Aberrant Fortitude to a d6, and gives you an alternative to Aberrant Surge, which allows you to heal and deal damage. I don't think this is very good. While you could pick Aberrant Dragonmark because it is better than Magic Initiate, but doing so also means you can't pick some of the crazy options that I'll list after this, so I probably wouldn't do that. All the other dragon feats work a bit differently, adding plus 1d4 to some checks you make, giving you access to some cantrips and leveled spells. The latter of which you can cast for free once per long rest or use spell slots to cast later on. Some get other additional features, but all of them get a Spells of the Mark feature, which adds a section of spells to your spellcasting or packed magic spell list. Their improved variant always changes the 1d4 to 1d6, and is a half feat that adds a +1 to any score to a maximum of 20. Most of them change how the spells from their normal version works, but not all of them. Before we continue with that, I do think we should talk about the potent Dragonmark feat, because it changes my rankings for all of them. This feat is also a half feat. In addition, it makes your mark spells always prepared. This is crazy good depending on the spells, because for some of them that means about 4 extra good spells that don't hack into your other preps. And the fun doesn't just stop there. You also get an extra spell slot to cast your mark spells. The level is half your character level rounded up to a maximum of 5. This is a way better progression than half casters get. This is crazy good. I think for full casters in Eberron, you pick this after Warcaster, whereas for half casters, you pick it up even before that, in my opinion. Also, we gotta talk about dice. It's the Kobold and Gator dice! That's right! These are transparent resin with mini me's and mini gators inside, ready for adventure. We're going to give you big numbers or small numbers when we think it's optimal. We're professionals in good storytelling! And very murderous, will aid you in destroying all of your enemies. We're doing this project with only crits who are masters with dice, so we're in good hands. The project, however, isn't fully ready yet, but I've got a favor to ask. We need 500 more followers on BackerKit. That way we'll be nice and ready for the launch party. So head on over to Kobold and Gator Dice if you're interested. Link in the description. Back to the video! Mark of Detection adds insight and perception, and gives detect magic and detect poison. At 3rd level, you can add see invisibility to the list. Both checks and spells are okay. Their mark spells kinda suck. The divination spells are for the most part fine, but basically any spellcaster gets access to a decent list of them regardless. By the way, I found a typo from Wizards of the Coast. In Greater Mark of Detection, it says see invisibility, not see invisibility. I would never make a typo like this. Pathetic. Anyways, once per long rest, you can change the spell to have advantage on initiative during its duration, and enemies within 30 feet can't have that. This basically means you have advantage on initiative at least once per day because you can cast the spell for free that many times. I don't think it's a very strong feat. Mark of Finding adds to perception and survival and gives you access to Hunter's Mark. At level 3, you get Locate Object. Yay! I love that spell. Their mark spells have some decent options, but again, nothing really noteworthy. Greater Mark of Finding changes Hunter's Mark so that the target can't benefit from being invisible once per long rest. Both versions here are bad. Mark of Handling adds nature and animal handling checks and gives you animal friendship and speak with animals. Nothing here stands out. At level 3, you can target monstrosities with 2 spells, but only if their intelligence is 3 or lower. That's not a huge improvement. Their spells have some heavy hitters like Command, Find Familiar, Conjure Animals, and Aura of Life. I think this works quite well with Potent Dragonmark. Greater Mark of Handling improves your mounted experience, but the attacking part probably doesn't matter too much if you're a caster. And the other part doesn't matter too much either. I would just grab Mark of Handling normally. Mark of Healing adds Herbalism Kit and Medicine, and gets Cure Wounds. At level 3, they add Lesser Restoration as an option. Their mark spells are really good though. Healing Word, Prayer of Healing, ooh. Prayer of Healing, and Greater Restoration are quite nice. But most don't work too well with Potent Dragonmark. Greater Mark of Healing improves how much Cure Wounds heals by replacing 1s and 2s with 3s. It's shit. Mark of Hospitality adds Persuasion, Brewer's Supplies, and Cooking Utensils, and gives you Prestidigitation, Purify Food and Drink, and Unseen Servants. Unseen Servant is really good. Their spells have some nice options like Goodberry, Aid, Tiny Huts, and situationally Mordenkainen's Private Sanctum and Hollow. Greater Mark of Hospitality improves Purify Food and Drink in that it allows you to remove an exhaustion level from creatures within 30 feet of you, as well as giving some temporary HP once per long rest. This is a crazy good feat for somebody who's playing Artificer, likes to craft, or is playing something like Tomb of Annihilation. Your party can stay up for 40 hours and get a ton of things done. That's huge. Imagine all the crafting your party can do. If I play an Artificer, I'll be thinking about this quite a lot. Mark of Marking adds Arcana and Artisan's Tools and grants you Mending and Magic Weapon. At least the Arcana makes you a better Mizmage. Their mark spells have some okay options, like Identify, Continual Flame, and a bunch of spells that make things, which all have their own tech. Warlock with Conjure Barrage is sick, by the way. That's awesome. Greater Mark of Marking improves Magic Weapon, but, who uses that? It sucks. Mark of Passage adds Athletics and Acrobatics and gives you Misty Step. Not bad. In addition, it also increases your speed by 5 as its side benefit. That's really good. Their spell list is fucking nuts. This is so exciting. Expeditious Retreat is okay. Jump is really good now. Pass Without Trace is still very good. Find Steed is very convenient. And you also get Phantom Steed. That's crazy good. You get both of the really good mounts. And you're gonna be using both of them because one of them is a ritual. They made this for me. Holy shit. They also get Dimension Door and Teleportation Circle too. This is really nice. This is especially good with Potent Dragonmark and quite funny on a Paladin, because you can get access to a flying mount faster than a Paladin could. Also, you get to concentrate on a really good spell throughout the whole day. Pass Without Trace. This is great with a Watcher's Paladin. Greater Mark of Passage improves Misty Step once per long rest so that you can bring someone along. It's not bad, but it's expensive. Listen, I'm just gonna ritual cast a Phantom Steed for them. That should be plenty enough before the fight. Mark of Scribing adds history and calligrapher's tools and gives message and comprehend languages. At level 3, you also get Magic Mouth. That is a super complicated spell. I'm never making a video on that. I'm too dumb to do it. Their spells are not that bad. Command, Sending, Arcane Eye, that's really all I care about. Greater Mark of Scribing changes comprehend languages once per long rest, such that you can make someone the source of slower movement for enemies. It's really weird. It also ends when the target basically does anything. I don't like this at all. Mark of Sentinel adds insight and perception and grants you shield. All of this is really good, especially the spell. You also once per long rest take a hit from someone. That's not incredible. Their good spells are Counterspell, Death Ward, and Guardian of Faith. Greater Mark of Sentinel changes shield once per long rest, similarly to how Scribing changed comprehend languages, but instead just lasts until the end of their next turn. I don't know why they thought these greater feats were worth it. Mark of Shadow adds stealth and performance and gives minor illusion and invisibility. Stealth and invisibility are pretty nice. They have some nice spell options, but they're being overshadowed by Mark of Passage. Haha, get it? Highlights here are darkness and pass without trace. Greater Mark of Shadow changes invisibility to affect one more target once per long rest. It's not bad, but it's not worth a feat. Mark of Storm adds acrobatics and navigator's tools and grants Thunderclap and Gust of Wind at level 3. A lot of nothing burgers, but you get resistance to lightning damage as well, which can be pretty good depending on the campaign. Their spell list is pretty solid. I think it can be quite nice on a warlock or something like that. You also get Conjure Minor Elementals. People lose their minds over that thing. Meanwhile, I've just fallen in love with Mark of the Passage. I want the mounts. Great Mark of Storm changes Gust of Wind once per long rest so that you can fly for half your speed during its duration. It's 1 minute. Come on. Here we go. Last one. Mark of Warding. They add their 1d4 to Investigation and Thieves' Tools and get Alarm and Mage Armor. At 3rd level, they add Arcane Lock to this list. I think the checks are fine, but the spells are not too great in most circumstances. Their spell lists have some great options. Armor of Agathis, Nistel's Magic Aura, Glyph of Warding and Magic Circle work well together, and Anti-Life Shell is very nice too. Greater Mark of Warding changes Mage Armor to affect one other person once per long rest. Ugh. Last feat, Epic Boon. Boon of the Cybreeze. This increases any score by 1 to a maximum of 30. Its actual feature is absolutely massive. Once per rest, you can cast a chosen spell once for free. This spell can be any option from the sorcerer spell list or from the table. I don't know why you would choose any option from the table, because you could just pick Wish. Wish means any spell. Guys, this is Wish once per short rest. It's ridiculous. Literally everybody's gonna pick this. This is the best epic boon in the game. I'm surprised they even put this in the playtest. But anyways, that's everything. I like how they adapted the Dragonmark feats to work for any species option. But they can basically cut half the feats here. There was only one greater feat that was really good, and everything else sucked. And I think the epic boon is way too powerful. End of video. Check out the Kobold and Gator dice if you're interested. We really need followers. And by the way, I'm playing bagpipes in Huntington, West Virginia live at the Jockey Club. So if you're nearby, come see me. If you mention Pack Tactics to the bartender, you'll get a 10% off your bar tab. Now, back to normal videos. We've covered everything about the new UA. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.